made one of these videos in a while, and I'm going to try to keep it brief as usual. Uh, this is maybe on, I may put this on YouTube. If you want to like or subscribe, that's great. I'm really pushing to move away from YouTube to what I call Web 3.0, and it's very different from what people are used to. So it's hard for people to have a context when I explain some of this stuff, right? And folks like Mark Zuckerberg are not helping one bit, okay? And they make my job much more difficult. But I wanted today to just talk about who I am and give you insight into how I process things, um, because I understand that I'm sort of can be confusing, and because I'm integrating a lot of things, new ideas and new things, and what you're used to is influencers, right? And like for example, here's why I'm not an influencer. I'm using this mic, but I don't have the thing, right? If I was an influencer, you would always see the mic with the thing, and the background would be different. And I'm not an influencer. I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to share information. Um, so this is where I went to. I graduated from college in '92. That shows how old I am. With classical studies, my degree was humanities and social thought, right, which is liberal arts. Okay, so and then that's critical thinking, right? So that's what my degree was in. Now, this particular degree, this particular line of study is very much under attack. Um, for example, this guy showed up at my door. I live in Republican land here in Texas, and so he says he's working to eliminate critical race theory from all schools and empower parents, right? So what getting rid of critical race theory really is? It's an attack on all critical thinking education, right? That was even one of the Republicans' platforms. That I think it's still the platform because when Captain Kickass Donald Trump took over, they didn't change their platform. So it still might be there, this attack on critical thinking, right? And that's definitely where I come from. I did a senior thesis on religion, on the Catholic Church and um, the different communities. I would say the different ethnic communities in central Louisiana, the Cane River Creoles of color, they called themselves, was one of them. And had I stayed, and then, as I graduated with this degree, it involved an undergraduate thesis, which is rare, right? So for example, instead of pursuing a doctor's degree, I got a less prestigious degree with uh, more work put into it. Um, had I stayed in that world, I likely would have ended up uh, trying. I would have probably reached this guy, right? He would have been my dream senior advisor moving forward to get a real doctorate in that line of study. Nobody's heard of this guy. He's a philosopher. He won this Templeton Prize for, as Richard Dawkins says, saying nice things about religion, right? So, also, I as I grew older, I became enraptured with this book, Finnegan's Wake, and so sometimes you'll hear me talk about this, or as I um, sort of take on my persona, not unlike blockchain Gandalf, which we'll talk about in a minute, right? So I become a character out of this book right here, right? So anyway, so I instead of moving forward in my path towards Charles Taylor, what I did was I went to work for this company in Dallas. I moved to Dallas and worked for Electronic Data Systems as a tape operator, right? So um, this is one of the tape systems I used. It's interesting. Later in life, as I would talk to people about this, they would tell me, "No, no, no. There's no such thing. What you were talking about," and they would tell me that basically the tapes that I spent hours mounting into these machines was not what I thought. So there's my point there is there's a lot of people in information technology or in that um, who or influencers who don't know what they're talking about, right? They just don't, and I do, and but sometimes it takes me a while to explain it. So it's a little bit longer. So please bear with me. All right. So after this, I had a career. I wasn't a tape operator forever. I, you know, became like a Unix guy, right? Build servers for big companies and databases and that sort of thing. And then I got interested in blockchain technology, right? And so this is a little site that I have, and I'm not a front end developer, right? So everything kind of looks like this, and this makes people very nervous because they ask, "Well, can it be purple?" Yeah, it can, but I'm not going to be the one to make it purple. Okay, somebody else does that. So what this is so this writes little links into Polygon, right? So this is me in my Finnegan's Wake character reading from the Book of Mormon. And the reason I'm doing that is I happen to have a Book of Mormon nearby. Why? Well, because when you're a student of this guy, or a declasse intellectual, that's actually what I am, right? Because I'm not part of their system anymore. So when you're a declasse Taylorite, you read the Book of Mormon, and so that's what that is. Now, and then this is something that um, Keir Finlow Bates wrote. So I had him take a look at this because I was having some problems with it, and that is what he wrote, right? So he wants to tell you about the orthoverse. And when I say wrote, I mean burned into money, and you can't. And so but if you relax and don't think about it as money, it can be all sorts of other things. So can Ethereum. So can any of these currencies, right? This one happens to be Polygon, which is a cheaper version of Ethereum. All right, so this is what Keir Finlow Bates wanted us to see, by the way. Um, and he did that by putting the title and the URL in here, and clicking add, and it would pop up open this tool called Metamask. Or he did it through another site. Because this is a smart contract, so you can, we're beginning to get in the world of Web 3.0, right? So for years, I started, which is the internet as you know it, and then this is Web 3.0. So I don't know exactly which site Keir Finlow Bates made these entries, but I think he did this one too, right? He saw me trying to do this, and or something, or I'm confused, but that's his address right there. So if we look at the transaction, so if I click here, now suddenly we're not on my site anymore, okay? Because again, this is a very distributed world, right? We're on Polygon Scan, and so yeah, so it does look like he did this one. I think I had a picture of me failing to do it, and so I think that's what he did. So thanks Thanks, Kira. And you see, so you can decode the data, and you see it. So you see it here, right? So, and then you can also access the smart contract through here. Okay. So this is a piece of the this is a huge piece of the Web 3.0 puzzle, because you can have your wallet here, which is really on your computer, so nobody else can see the stuff in your little Fox wallet. It's called Metamask. It's by a company called Consensus. Nobody can see what's in there, but that's how you interact with these pages, right? So this is a part of the Web 3.0 solution, but since I'm kind of integrating all this different stuff, there's another part for me, which is oh, by the way, here's moonborrow.com. This is where Kier promotes his book and all the different stuff he's working on, right? And he'll also give you some Rothstein money, right? So there's another network you can access called Rothstein, and he makes you log in with your Google ID just to verify who you are. So Rothstein is it's testnet, so you can test all this stuff out on the Rothstein network if you wanted to, right? That's how you could learn about smart contracts. Here is another one of my tools, and so similar to what I showed you a minute ago. This is very simple, very basic. If you click here, you can upload a file from your computer, and but instead of making a link to it like we saw a second ago, it actually puts the file into a different ledger, right? And that one is called Satoshi Vision, and it's really controversial in the world of blockchain nerds. There's all these arguments about it, but this one allows you to you can put pretty big chunks of data into this one. So one of the guys promoting it says, "I like big blocks and I cannot lie." See, it's a nerd joke. Anyway, so let's see. So let's see what I put in there. Yeah. So this is audio. This is audio, but the audio isn't very long, right? So as I work more on my back end, right, instead of making it prettier, what I do is I make it able to do things like accept bigger audio, and video, and JPEGs, all of this, right? And this is the tools that I use to do this, I'm slowly putting into open source so that anybody would be able to use it. And so yeah, so I think I'm calling it BSV. I've always got dogs around me, and this is PHP, right? So what you would get if you download this from GitHub, you have to first of all understand PHP. You have to be running your own server, which is what I'm doing here, right? Like for example, this is Digibyte. This is the last transaction, right? So this transaction ID is going to be the same as what we saw a second ago, whatever that page is. So So that is sort of what I do, and I like I say, I bring these different things together. Like for example, this video that you're seeing. This is a JavaScript, um, this camera software that I have, and I have a copy of it stored in Pinata, which uh, is yet another part of Web 3.0. So there's all these different pieces, and uh, you, in order to understand it, you just have to invest time in it. And I think people aren't willing to do that. People want everything to be immediate, and it's frankly it's kind of disheartening. Uh, you have to invest time in this stuff to learn about it, ask questions, and people that do are able to kind of move to the next level and get it. But there's a lot of folks who sort of understand, they sort of code, and they they talk too. Like they love to be a part of the conversation, but you know, in order to really get it, you have to dig down and be devoted. I mean, it took years out of my life for me to get to this point of understanding this stuff. So, thanks. I hope this helps.